The morning had begun like any other in the buzzing corridors of ITV studios. Makeup artists hurried with brushes in hand, producers clutched clipboards packed with schedules, and assistants darted from room to room ensuring that everything for Lorraine Kelly's daily live show was perfectly aligned. Everything, except one thing. Piers Morgan. He arrived 10 minutes earlier than scheduled, pushing open the glass doors with the unmistakable swagger that had made him both admired and feared on British television. His black coat swung behind him as he marched down the hallway, ignoring the nervous smiles cast his way. "Morning, Piers," a young intern called out. He didn't respond. He was rehearsing lines in his mind, sharp points, questions Lorraine wouldn't be prepared for, truths he believed the public needed to hear. Today was his first interview on her show in 2 years, and the tension had been brewing long before he set foot in the studio. Lorraine, meanwhile, sat in her dressing room sipping a cup of tea, calm as ever. She'd handled diplomats, Hollywood stars, controversial politicians. She wasn't intimidated easily. But when her producer, Julia, stepped inside with a worried expression, Lorraine immediately sensed something was off. "He's in a mood," Julia said gently. Lorraine smiled, adjusting her earrings. "When isn't he?" "No, Lorraine, really in a mood." Lorraine lifted her cup. "Well, let's give the viewers a show then." Minutes later, the bright studio lights blinked on. The signature theme music faded. The camera zoomed in as Lorraine flashed her warm, familiar smile. "Good morning. Today we're joined by the always outspoken, always unpredictable Piers Morgan." Piers stepped onto the set before she could finish her sentence, not waiting for his cue. He sat down heavily in the guest chair, leaning back with folded arms, an eyebrow raised. "And unpredictable is an understatement," he said loudly. Lorraine blinked, then laughed, attempting to keep the atmosphere light. "You're early, Piers. Someone has to keep things moving," he replied. "This show runs slower than Parliament on a rainy Tuesday." A subtle gasp rippled through the studio crew. Lorraine's smile tightened, but she continued. "Well, let's get straight into it. Your new book." "My new book is not why I'm here," Piers cut in, shifting forward in his chair. Now Lorraine's expression changed completely. Her lips pressed together. The tension, once simmering, had finally risen to the surface. "Oh, and why are you here then?" she asked calmly. Piers pointed toward the camera. "To address the nonsense being spread about me, and about journalism in this country. And you, Lorraine, you should know better." A silence fell so deep that even the hum of studio lights seemed to fade. Lorraine's eyebrows rose slowly. "Me? Yes, you," Piers snapped. "You and your fluffy interviews, your sugar-coated segments, you've forgotten what real journalism looks like." A few crew members exchanged stunned looks. The floor manager motioned frantically for the camera to cut, but the director shook her head. They were live. Lorraine leaned forward, voice low and steady. "Piers, you came here as a guest. Not to insult me, not to insult my team, and certainly not to lecture the nation on what journalism should be." "Oh please," Piers scoffed. "You're afraid of real questions. That's why your show is filled with celebrity gossip and cooking demos. Nothing that actually matters." Lorraine let out a long breath, not of frustration, but of decision. "Piers Morgan," she said firmly, "if you continue speaking to me like that, I will ask you to leave this studio." The audience watching at home likely froze. The crew backstage certainly did. Piers laughed. A short, sharp sound. "You'll ask me to leave?" "Me? Lorraine, be serious." "I am serious." Something in her tone made him sit upright. Her calmness terrified more than any shouting ever could. Then he made a mistake. He leaned forward, pointed at her, and said, "This show is a joke, Lorraine. And maybe it's time someone said it on live television." Lorraine's face hardened. She turned to the floor manager standing just off camera. "Can we escort Mr. Morgan out, please?" A wave of disbelief washed across the studio. 2 security staff approached. Piers rose from his seat, eyes blazing. "Are you kidding? Lorraine, this is pathetic. You insulted me, you insulted my show, and you hijacked this interview," she replied, standing now as well. "I won't have it." The security team gestured toward the exit. Piers looked from them to Lorraine, then back again. For the first time that morning, he seemed unsure. Embarrassment crept up his neck. "This isn't over," he muttered, gathering his coat. "Goodbye, Piers," Lorraine said simply. He stormed off the set as the cameras captured every second. The moment the doors shut behind him, Lorraine exhaled deeply and turned back toward the camera with a composed smile. "Well," she said, smoothing her hair, "that was unexpected. Now, let's move on." But little did she know, Piers Morgan wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. Outside the studio doors, Piers Morgan paced like a storm trapped in a corridor. His jaw was clenched, his breath sharp, his mind spinning with humiliation and fury. He'd been in countless media battles before, but never had he been physically escorted off a morning show, and certainly not by Lorraine Kelly of all people. Producers peered at him cautiously from behind computers and half-open office doors. Nobody dared approach him. Piers looked like a man who might explode. Finally, his longtime friend and producer, Raymond, rushed toward him. "Piers, what happened in there?" "What happened?" Piers barked. "I got kicked off because she didn't like hearing the truth." Raymond rubbed his forehead. "Mate, you were supposed to promote your book, not start World War III. Piers pointed a trembling finger at the studio door. "She ambushed me. She wanted a soft segment, but I'm not a soft segment." Before Raymond could reply, Piers's phone began vibrating violently in his pocket. Dozens of notifications flooded his screen. Trending number 1 in the UK, #Piers vs Lorraine. Trending number 2, #Piers kicked off live TV. Hundreds of clips already circulating online. Millions of views. Piers swallowed. His anger cooled slightly as the journalist in him recognized the truth. He wasn't just part of the story. He was the story now. Meanwhile, inside the live studio, Lorraine sat at her desk, still trying to steady her heartbeat. Her smile remained professional, but her hands trembled beneath her papers. During the commercial break, Julia, her producer, rushed over. "Are you all right?" Lorraine nodded slowly. "I've been doing this for 30 years, Julia. But today was something else." "You handled it perfectly," Julia assured her. "Social media is already praising you for keeping your composure." Lorraine sighed. "I didn't want it to escalate. But he left me no choice." In truth, Lorraine felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, shock, and somewhere deep inside, disappointment. She'd respected Piers once. She still believed, beneath the controversy, he had a good heart. But something had changed. The show continued, but everyone could feel the weight of what had just happened. Back outside, Piers was already crafting a statement in his mind. He could either back down, not likely, or escalate the situation. The latter felt more natural, more him. Raymond looked at him with concern. "Piers, think carefully. If you go nuclear on this, ITV might blacklist you for good." Piers smirked darkly. "Blacklist me? They need me more than I need them." Still, even he wasn't fully convinced. For the first time in years, doubt flickered across his face. "Let's just go," Raymond said quietly. "You need to cool down." Piers hesitated, then nodded. But before he could leave, a young reporter from an online news outlet appeared, microphone in hand, camera rolling. "Mr. Morgan, is it true Lorraine Kelly had you physically removed from the show?" Piers froze. Raymond whispered urgently, "Don't." But Piers stepped toward the camera. "Yes," he said boldly. "And let me be very clear, she did it because she couldn't handle a real conversation." The reporter leaned forward. "Are you saying Lorraine is afraid of you?" "Oh, she's afraid of tough questions," Piers replied. "Afraid of honesty. And afraid of anyone who won't play along with her safe little morning show routine." Back inside the studio, as Lorraine wrapped up the episode, Julia rushed over again, this time with panic in her eyes. "He's talking to the press outside." Lorraine shut her eyes briefly. "Of course he is. He's blaming you, Lorraine. Saying he was kicked off for telling the truth." Lorraine gathered her notes calmly. "Then I'll have to respond." The moment the cameras turned off after the final segment, Lorraine stood, squared her shoulders, and headed straight toward the newsroom. Half the studio followed. Everyone knew something historic was still unfolding. When she reached the media room, she stepped onto the small raised platform, addressing the scrum of journalists who had already gathered. "Let me clarify something," she said, voice steady but powerful. "Piers Morgan wasn't removed because he told the truth. He was removed because he was disrespectful, unprofessional, and he attempted to hijack my show." Cameras flashed. Pens scribbled. She continued, I welcome tough conversations. I welcome disagreements. But I will not tolerate guests insulting my team or undermining the integrity of our program. Her words spread across social media instantly. Outside, Piers watched the live broadcast on his phone, watched Lorraine firmly dismantle his claims. His jaw tightened. This isn't over, he muttered again, colder this time. Raymond gave him a worried look. Piers, what are you planning? Piers turned slowly, a dangerous determination in his eyes. She wants a war, he said. I'll give her one. But what Piers didn't know, not yet, was that Lorraine had supporters in places he'd never expect. And some of them were about to step into the spotlight.